Nearly 18 million pounds will be pumped into the Royal Navy's Fanks Gatling guns to keep pace with the latest threats amongst some naval enthusiasts. Fanks close to the weapon system have almost become fetishized, with arguments that Fanks should be carried by virtually every vessel in the Naval Service as some kind of vil sign originally designed to intercept aerial threats. More recently, Phalanx has been adapted to deal with asymmetric threats on the water, such as fast attack craft speedboats and jet skis. The ubiquitous Phalanx close-in weapon system provides warships with a last line of defense against missiles, aircraft, and small boats. Upgraded over time, it has been in service for 38 years with the Royal Navy and is considered to be very effective against any aircraft that manages to get within its operating envelope. Development of the Vulcan Fanks began in the 1960s as the U.S. Navy woke up to the threat of the sea skimmers after the destruction of Israeli destroyers and Russian-made stick missiles in 1967. The M61 Vulcan Gatling gun had been in service since 1959 and was initially developed for use in air combat using a Gatling gun combined with radar in the close defense role to create a wall of steel, offering a relatively simple solution. In parallel, the U.S. Army pursued a similar idea, producing the track vehicle M163 Vulcan Air Defense System. The first Fanks prototype was installed on destroyer USS King in 1973. Substantial development and trials were needed before the Mk-15 Fanks went into full production in 1978, with USS Coral Sea taking the first operational Block 0 mounts to sea in 1980. Being self-contained, one of FAN's key selling points as being non-deck penetrating, it can simply be bolted to the deck of any ship with space and top weight margin while the Falkland War was still in progress. Two Fanks systems intended for the USN were taken off the production line and rushed to Ide, where HMS Illustrious was hastily being completed. Although the Argentine surrendered on the Foreland Islands on the 14th of June, hostilities had not formally eased. Equipped with Phalanx, the ship sailed south with greater confidence that an exo-set attack on the carrier could be defeated. Fank has remained in Royal Navy service ever since 1982, when it was fitted to the Invincible-class carriers HMS Fearless, HMS Ocean, and the QC-class carriers. The Type 42 air defense destroyers received the system and also their replacements. The Type 45 units are also fitted to Royal Fleet or auxiliary vessels, being rotated around ships as operational requirements dictate. The self-contained nature of Fanks makes them particularly useful for the self-defense of large, vulnerable auxiliaries that lack their own senses and combat systems. Fanks was one of the world's first fully autonomous weapons. The speed of anti-ship missiles demands a system able to react fully automatically without human intervention. When in auto mode, the rotating MTI search radar in the top of the continually scans for threats up to 15 kilometers away. Although rotating through 360, the radar is switched on and off by software to prevent irradiation of the ship's superstructure. For simplicity, Phalanx does not rely on sophisticated IFF transponder systems for target discrimination. Instead, every contact is assessed using closed-loop heuristic software. If the target is inbound, able to maneuver to hit the ship and moving at a predetermined minimum speed, then it will be engaged. Once confirmed as hostile, the contact is passed to the tracking radar, which locks on at about 8 kilometers range. When the target is about 2 kilometers away from the ship, the gun opens fire. 75 rounds per second leave the barrel at a velocity of 1,113 meters per second. The tracking radar compares both the target and the stream of outgoing rounds, adjusting the gun so the projectile stream converges on the target. The accuracy is such that typically the third round out of the barrel will hit the system, which will consider the target destroyed if it explodes or there is an abrupt change of speed and direction as the target's airframe breaks up in the event of multiple attacks. The next most imminent threat will immediately be engaged. The system can track and assess up to 6 targets simultaneously. The Royal Navy has never fired Phalanx in anger, although it has provided reassurance to crews during many operations. In June 1996, the Falank-equipped Japanese destroyer Yuger accidentally shot down a USNA-6 intruder that was towing a radar target during a joint gunnery exercise. It was determined the operations team on the destroyer opened fire before the aircraft was outside of the fan's engagement envelope, which is likely to be very effective against any aircraft that managed to get within its operating envelope. The system is also theoretically capable of tracking and engaging traditional ordnances such as laser-guided bombs or medium-caliber shells, but these are physically more robust targets and harder to penetrate and destroy, especially as modern insensitive munitions are not exploded easily in manual mode. The Phalanx operator can point and shoot at targets indicated by the cameras, amongst some naval enthusiasts. Chews have almost become fetishized with arguments that Fanks should be carried by virtually every vessel in the Naval Service as some kind of virile sign in an ideal world of unlimited resources. Every frontline vessel would have a complete set of equipment and not be subject to stop because each Phalanx requires weapons. Engineers to maintain and support the system with accompanying costs and manpower overhead of nearly £18 million will be pumped into the Royal Navy's Fanks. Gatling guns to keep pace with the latest threats. Defense firm Babcock has won a 3-year contract to maintain and upgrade the automated guns, which serve as the penultimate line of defense against missile air and fast boat attacks for much of the fleet. Babcock, which has provided support for Fanks for the past 17 years, has been awarded $17.9 million to maintain, upgrade and provide spare parts for up to 41 weapon systems for the next 3 years. The work will be carried out by the firm's weapon team based in Devonport, where they also maintain other Royal Navy systems and firepower, including the main 4.5-inch gun. The gun is fitted to a string of Royal Navy and Royal Fleet auxiliary vessels, including all 4 capital ships, all Type 45 destroyers, all RFA Tide-class tankers, Bay-class support vessels, and aviation training casualty treatment ship RFA Eris. When assessing the effectiveness of Phalanx, it should be seen as one part of a laid defense system. This includes intelligence-led assessments of the threat area, air defense, electronic warfare, and decoys, which are often overlooked or underestimated. Clearly not an infallible shield against a saturation attack by modern hypersonic missiles. Falcons are, however, an affordable and relatively simple way to add a significant layer of protection against many threats.